The test is in 4 parts: Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
Part 1.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
World Bridges Travel Agency. Good morning. Can I help you?
Yes, I need some information, please.
Yes?
Well, I know it's rather late for a reservation, but we're 3 friends, and we'd like to travel to Greece next July.
Let's see. Where would you like to stay?
We've been told Mykonos is one of the best islands in the Mediterranean. Would that be possible?
It's quite difficult in July. Would you like to stay at a hotel?
We'd rather make a self-catering arrangement.
Are you thinking of a villa or an apartment?
I guess a small apartment will be cheaper.
Provided it's not during July, yes. You know, prices are lower out of season. How long would you like to stay?
About a fortnight, but it might be difficult to change dates, you know. We're 3 and have different times available.
I see. How many did you say you were in the party?
There'll be 3 of us, all girls, so we need a safe place near the beach. But we cannot spend more than £100 a day.
For that...
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
For that price, you won't have many options, I'm afraid. But let me find out. If you could arrange to make it in late June, I might have a bedsitter for £75. It could accommodate 3 single beds, and it's 5 minutes' walk from the main beach in Mykonos.
I'd love that. What's the name of the beach? Have you got it handy?
Yes, it's Super Paradise. Have you heard about it?
Yes! My parents went there on their honeymoon, and they still keep advising people to visit it. Anyway, I need to talk it over with my friends, though. One of them works during June. She might not be able to change dates.
Well, contact your friends, come to an agreement, and give me a ring again. My name is Arnold Smith. You'll find me here any working day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m, but not on Saturdays. Remember, we only have a month left, so you need to make up your minds, I'd say, today or tomorrow.
I will. Thank you, Arnold. You've been very kind.
Wait, you haven't given me your name.
Sorry. I'm Susan Perkins from Kensington. Susan Perkins. Perkins. I'll get back to you tomorrow without fail, Arnold. Thank you again. Bye.
That is the end of Part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 2. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17.
Good morning, Brian. My name is Sarah Green.
Welcome to our programme, Sarah. What's your query today?
Well, I've always admired your programme because it allows ordinary citizens to air our views and share them.
Thank you. So, what would you like to comment on?
I'm speaking on behalf of a group of neighbours living in a tower block in the East End of Manchester, between two busy street markets. Naturally, we suffer from traffic, noise, dirt and petrol fumes.
Is that your complaint, Sarah?
No, Brian, not yet. I need to add that we have an open green space with shady trees behind us, and these trees provide us with a quiet, pleasant place where we enjoy our leisure hours. We are mostly pensioners, and there were very few children on the estate.
So, what's wrong with that, Sarah?
Well, our local council recently proposed to make use of this site as a temporary play centre for about 100 children.
Have you done anything about it?
Yes, we've protested against this plan in different ways. We have sent emails, letters, even spoken on the phone, but the council have never paid attention to us. What's worse, they have already started uprooting trees and grass.
Would you...
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at the questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
Do you say there's some kind of alternative solution to this problem?
There's a disused school and playground within 300 metres. It could serve their purpose just as well.
I'd advise you to try and make a personal appointment with a member of the local council. That would give you the chance to be heard face to face. Why don't you contact Councillor John Edwards? I believe he's the right person to talk to. You can book an appointment at the council offices. He's used to considering everyday problems and usually comes up with practical solutions.
I'll do that, Brian. Thank you very much for your advice.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3. Part 3.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good afternoon, listeners. Well, this afternoon on Environment Today, I have Isabel Wisson in the studio. Isabel, along with her sister, started a campaign to get rid of all the plastic bags on the island of Bali when she was just 10 years old. Isabel, what made you so eager to do this?
Well, in Bali, we generate around 680 cubic meters of plastic garbage a day. That's enough to fill a 14-story building. And plastic bags are among the worst culprits. They don't biodegrade. And less than 5% gets recycled, causing a health hazard to animals, environmental problems, and generally making the place look filthy.
So, what made you decide that you wanted to be the ones who made a change?
Well, We had just had a lesson in school about significant people like Nelson Mandela and Princess Diana. My sister and I were walking home after that lesson, and we decided we wanted to be significant too. So we sat down that evening and brainstormed the issues that affect our country, and we settled on ridding the island of plastic bags. That's only a fraction of the garbage problem on the island, but it's a start, and it's a realistic target for 2 kids.
So how did you start?
We realized that we couldn't tackle this problem alone, so we got help from schools. Together, we got people to sign petitions, we gave presentations, and we distributed alternative bags made of organic material or recycled newspaper.
Did you have much of an effect?
On a local level, yes, but not really on a national level. The government doesn't pay much attention to a petition of a few hundred signatures. So we thought, well, what about if we get 1 million signatures? They can't ignore that. But that's a lot of signatures. It's about 1/4 of the island's population. How were 2 kids supposed to manage that? Then we heard that the airport handled around 16 million arrivals and departures per year. So we realized that that was the place to go. After a bit of persistence, the manager gave us authorization to collect signatures behind the Customs and Immigration desk.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Did it pay off?
Well, we didn't grab the attention of the governor of Bali until after a visit to India. My sister and I had gone there to do a presentation, and while we were there, we learned about Mahatma Gandhi's hunger strikes and how they had the power to make a change. So that's what we decided to do.
You went on a hunger strike.
Well, not exactly. After getting some advice, we decided we wouldn't eat between sunrise and sunset until the governor of Bali talked to us.
And did that work?
Absolutely. We met him within 3 days. We told him of our mission, and he promised that Bali will be plastic-free in the next 2 years.
That's great news.
Yes, of course our work hasn't finished. Now we're giving out stickers to shops that promise to be plastic-free and promoting them on social media. That draws attention to the shops that don't get involved. Our biggest message is that you don't have to wait to make a decision to change your world. If you don't like what you see around you, do something about it. If 2 kids can do it, anyone can.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Welcome to this information board. This is a national charity community aimed at helping people who suffer from severe anxiety and social phobic disorders. We all know that feelings of anxiety are part of our everyday life. Most of us feel uneasy about snakes or mice. But for phobics, it's not just a question of disliking something. Their fear has grown into such a distress that it affects their normal behaviour. They may have serious symptoms of pain, dizziness and nausea, feel they are short of breath or have shaking limbs. This fear may be triggered by the mere sight of animals, people or things like insects, dentists or utensils. Freud was the first to attempt a systematic description of the development of phobic behaviour. The onset of social phobias generally takes place during adolescence, when social awareness and interaction are evolving. Cultural influences also play a role, as well as genetic factors. In fact, parents of social phobics are more likely to develop major depression. Family difficulties, conflicts, frequent family moves, physical and sexual abuse in childhood are all factors generating phobias. Socio-cultural variations in social phobia are beginning to emerge and receive more attention. Findings suggest that there are similarities in the expression of social phobia across cultures. Phobic conditions are frequently manifested by a reluctance to interact, usually from childhood. Recent studies have proved that there are physiological factors such as conditioned fear responses produced by a disorder in the neural circuitry centred on the amygdala. The amygdala may function as a protective brake during evaluation of a potential threat, and it has been suggested that social anxiety may involve a deregulation or hyperactivity of the amygdala evaluative process. Family studies have shown high rates of social phobia in offspring or other close relatives of sufferers of social phobia. This suggests that social phobia is somehow familial and possibly specific in its transmission. There are also parenting and family environmental factors. Obsessive controlling and overprotectiveness can play a role in causing phobic conditions. Parent modelling and restricted exposure to social situations have an effect on the development of social phobic parent-child reinforcement of each other's anxiety. Compulsive washing is a phobia-like condition, and so is agoraphobia, the fear of being in public places where there are many other people. Treatments are complicated, and phobics get limited help from the medical establishment. However, there are self-help groups like Phobics Together, in which sufferers learn to ease their anxiety and thus reduce symptoms by sharing experiences. There are also special training programs implemented by psychiatrists and psychologists working together. If you would like to discuss any kind of phobic condition, you can find details of local events and confidential counselling via the website at www.phobicstogether.org.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.